Sire, I have more news. Oh, yes. Well, it seems that the fighting has gone
Enough.
exactly as you...
I would like to know what you intend to accomplish, Father. Should we not be fighting the Darkspawn instead of each other?
The nobility should be brought into line and then the Darkspawn defeated. This is no true blight, Anora. Only Kaelin's vanity demanded it be so.
Beg pardon, sire. But blight or no, we may not have the manpower to face the Darkspawn soon.
Kaelin approached your legions for support, did he not?
Never! Marek and I drove those bastards out! Not roll out the welcome for them now!
We need help, Father. We cannot deal with this crisis alone.
Ferelden will stand on its own! I will lead it through this, Anora. You must have faith in me.
Did you kill Kaelin?
Kaelin's death was his own doing.
Vieta, this land is held in trust for the sovereign dwarven kings. I cannot allow entry at this time.
King Loghain demands the allegiance of the Desher, or lords, or whatever you call them in your assembly. I am his appointed messenger.
I don't care if you're the king's wiper. Orzammar will have none but its own until our throne is settled.
Who doesn't? If I don't get in, no one should.
Orzammar has no king. Endrin Idukan returned to the stone not 3 weeks ago, sick over the loss of his sons. The Assembly has gone through a dozen votes without agreeing on a successor. If it is not settled soon, we risk a civil war.
The Wardens killed King Kaelin and nearly doomed Ferelden. They're sworn enemies of King Loghain.
Well, that is the Royal Seal. That means only the Assembly is authorized to address it. Grey Warden, you may pass.
You're letting in a traitor? And a foreigner? In the name of King Loghain, I demand that you execute this stain on the honor of Ferelden. You'll hear of this. King Loghain will see you quartered.
You are free to enter Orzammar, Grey Warden, though I don't know what help you will find.
It is the Assembly who makes a king, and a king who nominates his successor. None of it is carried in the blood.
Or, as now, when someone tries using the Assembly to pull a coup. Who's to say what my father said in his final hours, when the usurper Harrowmont was the only one by his side?
I'll have you thrown in prison.
You've bitten off more than you can chew!
Handlers, separate these dashers in the diamond quarter. I will not have Balin incite a riot.
Not speak that way about the man who should be king!
Vieta, surfacer. I'm bid to let you walk the commons, but keep your place. Warden or not, I want order. See, that's why I don't want you surfacers seeing our worst. You'll think that's all we are. The market is thin, but busy, and the tavern never closes. Bad blood is usually kept to the proving. Should toss Balin and Harrowmont in there, sort this all out in a hurry. They've caged themselves for fear of each other. As you've seen, keeping order down among us working people is dodgy. No place for a proper lord. Balin speaks through his second, Vartag Gavorn, in the Assembly. Lord Harrowmont speaks through Dulin Ferender from his estate. Yes, you should.
Your mind has gone to dust if you think we would pass such a writ. Half our houses would go broke without the service trade.
The proposal is only effective until we have a king to ensure we are respected by the surfacers.
Leaving you conveniently positioned to take over all contracts. I'll see your head on a pike first.
Deshers, lords and ladies of the Assembly.
I've already doubled the guard to prevent violence. Must I summon more?
Steward Bandalore, Balin's sympathizers are tying our hands with trivialities. They may as well open us to the sky.
I suggest we put the matter to a vote.
And I suggest you have a taste of my family's mace.
Enough! The Assembly is in recess until the members can regain control of their emotions. Stone-forsaken fools and dusters. I'm sorry. This is the Assembly of the Clans. Only Dashers and occasional guests of state are allowed in. Forgive me. I am so exhausted. I completely forgot about the message from the gate guard. Welcome to Orzammar, Warden. I hope you can forgive our unrest. The loss of our king has hit us hard. Respect for your role is great, but you won't receive a proper hearing until we have a king on the throne. Troubling, but it will still seem distant compared to the empty throne. The Assembly is blind to all else. This is their world, and it ended when Endrin died. I must admit, Warden, I am at a loss myself. It lies with Prince Balin or Lord Harrowmont, and they are slow to trust anyone in these uncertain times. I only wish there was more I could do for you.
Warden, welcome. It is always a blessing for Orzammar to host your order. I am Bartak Gavorn, top advisor to our good Prince Balin. What news do you bring? Yes, the treaty. I've seen it in the Shaper's libraries. Now the difficulty is that the treaty only compels our king, and we are sadly lacking one of those right now. You must understand, Harrowmont hides behind his good reputation while sending spies and assassins. Balin can't know who to trust. It's been like a knife in the heart for Balin to see so many of his father's men stand with the usurper. That hurts worst of all. That Harrowmont would take advantage of the dying king's delirium to plant such poisonous suspicions against his own son. After that, you understand why Balin cannot trust the word of a stranger, however reputable that stranger might be. Would you be willing to prove that? Harrowmont has engaged in a campaign of bribery and coercion to ensure that every house serves him. But if a neutral party, a stranger, were to approach certain key members, perhaps with irrefutable evidence of Harrowmont's deception, I'm certain my Lord Prince would show his gratitude. Harrowmont promised the same portion of his estate to two different Deshers, Lady Dace and Lord Helmy. Oh, excuse me, two Assembly members. Desher is their formal title. Harrowmont can't possibly grant it to both of them, but they won't find out until after the vote is cast. I have copies of the promissory notes Harrowmont gave each of them. Once they see those, they should both reconsider their votes. Normally, the Shapers would handle this sort of accusation. They are the scholars who manage our laws, histories, and genealogies. They are the final arbiters of all disputes in Orzammar. Unfortunately, the Shaper of Memories is the most important among them, and his grandfather was Lord Harrowmont's aunt's first cousin. Obviously, we cannot expect him to offer an unbiased opinion. I guess I can't expect you surfacers to understand the importance of family in Orzammar. The Shaper is biased, and if you want Prince Balin's help, you'll have to show where your loyalties lie. Will you do it? Lady Dace doesn't leave the quarter much, but Lord Helmy's adventurous, likes to spend his time at Tapster's in the Commons. Remember, don't tell them you got these papers from me. You learned of them and drew your own conclusions.
I heard there was a Grey Warden here. I am Dulin Forrender.
Second to Lord Harrowmont, King Endrin's own choice as successor. Word is spreading that the surface may suffer a blight. It is shameful we are not in a better position to help. That may be, and that is a terrible risk for the surface. But even if the world would end tomorrow, Lord Harrowmont cannot ignore Balin today. He cannot afford to trust anyone of unproven loyalties. You're asking the King of Orzammar to send armies to the surface, but Orzammar has no king and we have no army. Right now, the men who should be fighting Darkspawn are brawling in the street. If this situation is not resolved, we face civil war. If you want Lord Harrowmont's time now, you'll have to prove you have no intention of turning against him later. If you wish to show you have no loyalty to Balin, then work against him in Harrowmont's name. Balin is hosting a proving today, supposedly to honor his father's memory. The Deshers take it very seriously, and unfortunately, Balin found some way to blackmail or intimidate House Harrowmont's best fighters into stepping down. The proving is a contest of the best warriors in Orzammar. By fighting, they show who has the ancestors' favor. If you were to enter the proving as Lord Harrowmont's champion, it would prove your loyalty beyond a doubt.
And this is to be your king. One who cannot keep his own men from running like frightened children.
Lord Harrowmont does not use threats or intimidation to motivate his men. He leads by example.
Ah, I see. So it's his example they follow as they cower from this Prince Balin.
How dare you slander Lord Harrowmont?
Why should we ally ourselves with someone too scared even to grant us an audience? Were I you, I would seek a stronger king than this Harrowmont.
Surely you don't mean Balin. Then you and I have nothing more to say. Lady Dace just came through the quarter on a tear. She's telling everyone who'll listen what a leech and a liar Harrowmont is. Good job. So you were serious about wanting to help us. Are you ready to meet Balin now? I warn you, be on your best behavior, and keep your weapons sheathed.
I am impressed, Warden. Not many outsiders so quickly grasp Orzammar's rather convoluted politics. I am Prince Balin. Fartag told me of your efforts against the usurper who tried to claim my father's throne. Then we have a common goal. We may not like each other, but the Blight is our first priority. We need absolute unity to fight against the fulcrum of true evil. Unfortunately, while this debate rages, I have no power to send the troops you need. You've seen for yourself, the city is a slaughterhouse. Criminals run lawless. I could never hold the throne if I allowed such chaos. You have struck a blow against Harrowmont already, and I thank you for that. But there is another faction in play here. Have you heard of a woman named Jarvia and the Carta of Criminals she runs? They're a gang of criminals, mostly casteless, led by a repulsive slug of a woman named Jarvia. They paid off numerous guardsmen to build their power. They know Orzammar is divided now and has no time for them. It's made them bold. If I show the city I can eliminate such a threat, well, let's just say my position would be stronger. I'd never ask for such a thing, but if you do eliminate Jarvia and her thugs, you would have my gratitude. And my promise that as king, I will send as many troops as you need to fight the Darkspawn. Unfortunately, I have little information on Jarvia. Her base of power is in Dust Town, the lowest part of the city, and my men have few sources there. Maybe the castless will talk more freely with a stranger. That's all I can ask, but I can be of no help until this problem is solved. And every minute we wait, more Darkspawn swarm into human lands.
So Balin finally realized his throne means nothing if he can't hold it, yet he still doesn't bother to send his own men. Well, you picked the wrong side, stranger. It doesn't matter who's king, as long as there's a queen. Hardly convincing when your blades are covered in my men's blood. Kill them! But leave the pretty one alive. I have plans for her.
Well, you've simply outdone yourself. They're talking all over the city about how someone finally went through Dust Town and slaughtered the Carta like genlocks. Not yet. Killing Jarvia brought me greater favor. But to truly displace Harrowmont, we'll need something dramatic enough to end the debate forever. What do you know of the paragon Branka? She is a paragon, a girl of the Smith caste who rose to nobility for her brilliant inventions. 2 years ago, she heard of something the ancients created. It inspired her to leave everything behind and venture into the deep roads. She is the only paragon in 4 generations, and she turned her back on her responsibilities. A paragon is like an ancestor born in this time. If she returned, her vote would outweigh the entire assembly. Anyone with her support could take the throne unchallenged. I hope you will bring her back to endorse me as king. She had an entire house with her, dedicated to her protection. With the number of ruins still intact, they could last for a long time. And Harrowmont is looking as well. It's too risky to assume she's dead only to have him take credit for finding her. Then we will both go down in history as a paragon's saviors. So far, my men have traced Branka to Caridin's Cross, an ancient crossroad lost to the Darkspawn 4 centuries ago. Her trail ends there. Perhaps with your warden's expertise, you can find what my men could not. I did not know her personally. 2 years ago, I was still considered a child, not one to consort with Orzammar's finest. From what I hear, her intellect was unrivaled, but the social graces were beneath the notice of one so gifted. You have my thanks. Seek her in Caridin's Cross. I will try to delay the vote until you return.
Stranger, have you seen a Grey Warden hereabouts? I hear tell that he, or was that she, you understand this was several flagons ago, was setting out to search for Branka on the Prince's own orders. Well, if you're the best they got, then standards must have fallen way down. But I suppose that would account for an elf being down here. Say, could I ask you a favor? Stuff your head. I have a bleeding paragon to find. I don't have time to worry about your sodding feelings. I'm not saying I should be your first pick for a dance partner at whatever Highness's inaugural ball, but in the deep roads, I'm your man. And if you're looking for Branka, I'm the only one who knows what she was looking for, which might be pretty sodding helpful in finding her. I know what Branka wanted, and how she was looking. You presumably know everything Balin's scouts have discovered about where she disappeared. If we pool our knowledge, we stand a chance of finding Branka. Otherwise, good sodding luck. Perfect. What's one more? Branka was a brilliant girl, but half the time she'd add 2 and 2 and make it 50. You want to find her, you need someone who knows how she thinks. You should know that Branka was looking for the Anvil of the Void, the secret to building golems, which was lost centuries ago. The smith Caridin built it, and with it, Orzammar had 100 years of peace, while it was protected by the golems forged on the Anvil. As far as anyone knows, the Anvil was built in the old Orton Tig. Branka planned to start looking there, if she could ever find it. All she knew was that it was past Caridin's cross. No one's seen that Tig for 500 years. If Balin managed to find it, that's only because he's got dozens of warriors he can send to search night and day. If we're going, let's get moving. Branka's not gonna sodding find herself. Caridin's cross. I can't believe Balin actually tracked this place down. This used to be one of the biggest crossroads in the old Empire. You could get anywhere from here, including Orton Tig. It's the home of Caridin, the paragon who made the Anvil. He was an Orton before he founded his own house, and even then, he spent most of his time in their Tig. Branka figured it was the best guess for where the Anvil was located. No one but Caridin ever really knew more than it had some kind of stone-blessed power. Every golem who ever ranged across the Empire was hammered on the steel of that Anvil, but no one ever knew exactly how they were made. But Branka was sure she could find out. I've been waiting for someone to say that for 2 sodding years.
Let me be blunt with you. After all this time, my tolerance for social graces is fairly limited. That doesn't bother you, I hope.
Well, shave my back and call me an elf. Branka, by the stone! I barely recognized you!
Oghren. It figures you'd eventually find your way here. Hopefully you can find your way back more easily. And how shall I address you? Hired sword of the latest lordling to come looking for me? Or just the only one who didn't mind Oghren's ale breath?
Be respectful, woman. You're talking to a Grey Warden.
Ah, so an important errand boy, then. I suppose something serious has happened. Is Endrin dead? That seems most likely. He was on the old and wheezy side. Then what is your involvement in this? Why would a surfacer be interested in dwarven politics? You must have a patron. A highly placed patron. And they must want something in particular. Now, what might that be? I don't care if the Assembly puts a drunken monkey on the throne. Because our protector, our great invention, the thing that once made our armies the envy of the world, is lost to the very darkspawn it should be fighting. The Anvil of the Void. The means by which the ancients forged their army of golems and held off the first archdemon ever to rise. It's here, so close I can taste it. The anvil lies on the other side of a gauntlet of traps designed by Caradon himself. My people and I have given body and soul to unlocking its secrets. This is what's important. This has lasting meaning. If I succeed, the dwarven people benefit. Kings, politics, all that is transitory. I've given up everything and would sacrifice anything to get the Anvil of the Void. I will not give up. His legacy lies just inside, the sum of all his knowledge, and I will have it. There's only one way out, Warden. Forward. Through Caradon's maze, and out to where the anvil waits.
What has this place done to you? I remember marrying a girl you could talk to for 1 minute and see her brilliance.
I am your paragon.
My name is Caradon. Once, longer ago than I care to think, I was a paragon to the dwarves of Orzammar. If you seek the Anvil, then you must care about my story, or be doomed to relive it. Though I made many things in my time, I rose to fame and earned my status based on a single item. The Anvil of the Void. It allowed me to forge a man of steel or stone, as flexible and clever as any soldier. As an army, they were invincible, but I told no one the cost. No mere smith, however skilled, has the power to create life. To make my golems live, I had to take their lives from elsewhere. So said my king. I had only intended to use volunteers, but he was not satisfied, and soon a river of blood flowed out of this place. Finally, it was too much. I refused, and so Valtor had me put on the anvil next. Trapped forever in my own creation. A fitting punishment, I suppose. My apprentices knew enough to make me as I am, but not enough to fashion a control rod. I retained my mind. We have remained entombed here ever since, and I have sought a way to destroy the anvil. Alas, I cannot do it myself. No golem can touch it.
No! The anvil is mine! No one will take it from me!
You, please, help me destroy the anvil. Do not let it enslave more souls than it already has.
Don't listen! He's been trapped here for 1,000 years, stewing in his own madness. Help me claim the anvil, and you will have an army like you've never seen!
Branka, you mad, bleeding nugtail! Does this thing mean so much to you that you can't even see what you've lost to get it?
Look around. Is this what our empire should look like? A crumbling tunnel filled with darkspawn spume? The anvil will let us take back our glory!
Living souls suffer all the time. Peasants working the land are trapped, but we do not go about destroying farmland, do we?
Farmers don't toil in the fields for all eternity. That's hardly a valid comparison.
It just seems a waste to destroy the Anvil, given what it could do. Now, let's not be unreasonable. You wouldn't do that, surely. All right. Perhaps destroying it is a good idea.
Thank you, stranger. Your compassion shames me.
Bah! You're not the only master smith here, Caradin. Golems, obey me! Attack!
A control room! My friend! You must help me! I cannot stop her alone! Another life lost because of my invention. I wish no mention of it had made it into history.
Yeah, you ain't kidding. Stupid woman. Always knew the Anvil would kill her.
But at least it ends here. I thank you for standing with me, stranger. The Anvil waits there for you to shatter it. Is there any boon I can grant you for your aid? A final favor before I am freed from my burden? For the aid you've given me, I shall put hammer to steel one last time, and give you a crown for the king of your choice. Give it to whom you will. I do not wish to hear their names, nor anything more of them. I have already lived far beyond my time. I have no place here. You have my eternal thanks, stranger. A trust in all Tunsha. May you always find your way in the dark.
Well, that pretty much beat the sod out of how I imagined it. You ready to head back yet and share the news? Those Deshirs have been trying to destroy the city for years. Haven't managed yet.
Lords of the Assembly, I call for order. This argument gets us nowhere.
Then why these delaying tactics? I call for a vote right now. My father has one living child to assume the Idukan throne. Who would deny him that?
Your father made me swear on his deathbed you would not succeed him.
I apologize for the interruption, Lord Steward, but the Grey Warden has returned.
Well, Warden, what news do you bring?
Caradin was trapped in the body of a golem. This warden granted him the mercy he sought, releasing him and destroying the Anvil of the Void. Before he died, Caradin forged a crown for Orzammar's next king, chosen by the ancestors themselves.
I would like to believe Ogren's word, but it's well known the Grey Warden is Balin's hireling.
Silence!
This crown is of Paragon make, and bears House Hortan's ancient seal. Tell us, Warden, whom did Caridon choose?
Why would a Paragon trust someone who knows nothing of us with such a decision? This is preposterous!
We've argued in these chambers for too long. The will of the Paragon is that the Grey Warden decide.
At last, this farce is ended, and I can take my rightful place on my father's throne.
Let the memories find you worthy. First amidst the lords of the houses, the King of Orzammar.
Do you acknowledge me as king?
I cannot defy a Paragon. The throne is yours, King Balin.
Then as my first act as king, I call for this man's execution. Guards, seize him!
You know better than anyone the war facing us, Warden. Orzammar cannot afford to be divided. Anyone undermining my reign is serving only the Darkspawn. I will return to my palace to gather my generals and prepare our forces for the surface. I will see you there, Warden. You have my gratitude for all you have done for me. You have proven yourself and more, Warden. Without your aid, I would not have taken this throne so smoothly or so soon. My generals are already preparing for a mission to the surface. When you have need of us, you shall have every able-bodied dwarf in Orzammar. Since you did more than I expected, I offer a personal reward as well. This was a mall favored by my brother Trian. Take it with you, as a reminder of your ties to Orzammar. Now, I have much to do. If there is nothing else... Good luck, Warden. May we both crush our enemies.
So, I was thinking, we've come to know each other fairly well during our time in the Deep Roads. You're bloody fearsome for an elf, and I'm a warrior without a house to defend. Wandering about killing Darkspawn with a sodding Grey Warden sounds like just the thing to keep me occupied. So what do you say? More than that. It'll cost me my house to take a trip like this. But I don't have a bleeding house to begin with, so who cares? I'm better off up there with you than down here where the sodding children laugh at me. What good would I? You got so many allies you couldn't use one more? One with 1,000 shattered Darkspawn skulls to his name? And glad I am to hear it. You won't regret it. Now, do any of these sad sacks following you around know the first thing about making ale? Never mind. You can stop with the glaring. I'll ask him myself.
So, all this time we've spent together, you know, the tragedy, the brushes with death, the constant battles with the whole blight looming over us. Will you miss it once it's over? I know it might sound strange, considering we haven't known each other for very long, but I've come to care for you a great deal. I think maybe it's because we've gone through so much together. I don't know. Or maybe I'm imagining it. Maybe I'm fooling myself. Am I? Fooling myself? Or do you think you might ever feel the same way about me? Well, is it too soon for this? Good. I'll take that as a good sign. Maker's breath, but you're beautiful. I am a lucky man. Now, let's get back to what we were up to before, lest I forget why we're here.
Give me a moment. Just give me one sodding moment. By the stone. I feel like I'm about to fall off the world with all that sky up there. Strange? Strange is your wife turning out to prefer the ladies, not living in a world without a bleeding ceiling. Well, let's get moving. We're losing, daylight.
Your desire is my command. Well, we're in camp. Now's as good a time as any to talk, right? Join you? In your tent? No, of course not. I heard you. It's just that I must sound like a fool. You know that I've never done anything like this with anyone. I was quite sheltered after all. I care for you so much. Whenever I think of this, I feel like a bumbling idiot. All hands. I wish I could be better at this. I want it to be right. With the Darkspawn on our heels, death awaiting us at every turn, sure, why not? Hot. I don't know. I'm willing to give it a shot, if you are. Right. I'm going to stop talking now. You know, according to all the sisters at the monastery, I should have been struck by lightning by now. Sure. But if you get hit by the lightning afterwards, it hardly seems like an effective deterrent. You do realize the rest of our little party here is going to talk, right? They do that. See? This is why I love you. So, what now? Where do we go from here? You're so practical. You make me proud. All right, I get the hint. We have a lot to do, right? And we should do it. Before we go, I just want to thank you. No one's ever made me feel this way. I wasn't sure it could happen, in fact. Yes, ma'am. You are so bossy.